50 years have passed since the summer of 1967, which saw urban riots in many large cities, including New York, Newark, New Jersey, and Detroit. It is Detroit's violence, however, that is the subject of a new film. Michelle Miller takes us back. And be mindful this story has some language that some may find offensive.
In 100 places, Detroit is afire. 100 square blocks are now under siege. And as you walk through the area, people shout from their homes, "Watch out for the snipers."
It began early one Sunday morning in late July. Police raided an unlicensed bar in a black neighborhood in Detroit. A crowd gathered. Tempers flared.
This is going to happen all over America. It's going to be a hot world, not a hot summer. It's a hot world.
A rock was thrown, and the city became a war zone.
Several hundred rounds squeezed off. Now all of a sudden it's silent. Tense quiet, everybody looking around.
The fires burned for 5 days.
You were patrolling the streets of Detroit in the midst of all of this mayhem.
It was unbelievable mayhem.
In 1967, Ike McKinnon was one of only 100 black police officers on a force of 5,500 in Detroit.
I said, my God, this is happening to my city.
The fire has been raging for more than 30 minutes. The people have been evacuated, and yet the firemen are unable to respond.
You call this a rebellion, not a riot. Why do you call it a rebellion?
In Detroit, it was clear, leading up to it and even during it, that people were pretty consistent about why they were angry.
Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Heather Thompson.
Black Detroiters in particular were routinely singled out for abuse, for excessive profiling, arrests, really an overall criminalization of black Detroiters that white Detroiters simply didn't experience. God damn it. Policing was used to, keep white neighborhoods white.
Growing up, Ike McKinnon had seen many young black men singled out for abuse at the hands of the police. He was one of them.
I was 14 years old and I was beaten up by 4 police officers. They grabbed me, the name calling, they proceeded to beat me up.
Was this standard operating procedure?
This was SOP for these guys. That evening, I made a decision. I was going to become a Detroit police officer. And I wanted to make sure that those kinds of things didn't happen to me or to other people.
But driving home in 1967 after a long night patrolling Detroit's burning streets, McKinnon's badge and blue uniform offered no protection.
2 white officers pulled me over with their guns drawn. And I said, "Police officer," and smiling as I am now, I said, "Police officer." I had my badge. I stepped out of the car. The older officer with his gun drawn, he said, "Tonight you're gonna die, nigger."
This is a cop.
This is a police officer.
Telling another police officer,
yes,
"I'm gonna kill you."
That's right. He said, "Tonight you're gonna die, nigger." I see his finger pulling the trigger. And as I dove back into my car, he started shooting at me. I hit the accelerator with my right hand, the steering wheel with my left hand, and I drove off as he was shooting at me.
What did that tell you?
If a person is of that mindset to me, a fellow officer, what the hell is he going to do to the rest of the people in our city?
43 people died during those 5 days in Detroit. More than 1,000 were injured. 2,000 buildings destroyed. Some 400 families left homeless.
The Webb family came back to what was their home on Harrison Street to salvage what did not burn and try to find a reason for last night's destruction.
3 teenagers, Carl Cooper, Aubrey Pollard, and Fred Temple, were among those who died, shot to death after police raided the Algiers Motel, searching for snipers.
These boys were simply caught in the wrong place at the wrong time.
There's a bunch of police outside right now.
What happened that night is the subject of a new film by Academy Award-winning director Kathryn Bigelow. It's called Detroit.
Shots fired near the Algiers Motel.
I never heard of the Algiers Motel or what happened there. Had you?
No. I'd heard of the Detroit riots, but not the Algiers Motel, not this true crime story at the heart of it.
Now, let's not be stupid in this situation.
7 black men and 2 white women were severely beaten, but survived. Their stories tell a tale of brutalization and terror.
Spending as much time as you can with eyewitness accounts was probably the single most critical element that grounded this piece.
You need to tell me where the gun is.
Understanding what it would be like to be in that hallway.
I need you to survive the night.
John Boyega plays Melvin Dismukes, a black security guard who was also at the Algiers that night.
Fella here had a knife, try to go for my gun.
In the case of Dismukes, caught between two worlds, the world of law enforcement and the world of the victim.
A revolver. Do you carry a revolver?
I do have a 38.
You ever shoot anyone?
No.
Do you think about those young men?
I think about it constantly.
Dismukes still works as a security guard. To this day, some have not forgiven him for being the face of the law that night.
I had to move out of the city because of the threats against me. It's rough.
There were threats against you
Yes,
from
yeah.
both sides.
I wouldn't, no, I was usually just from one side.
Which was?
The black community.
Dismukes was tried for assault in 1968. He was acquitted by an all-white jury.
I saw him as a survivor, and yet at the same time, somebody who was deeply wounded by the event. You could see that it broke him in an irrevocable way.
Melvin, you want to go home?
None of the 3 white police officers at the Algiers that night were convicted of any wrongdoing.
How much do you want the audience to see the collateral damage? These broken men, broken spirits.
And broken dialogue, you know, between two very disparate cultures that need to embrace one another. It's naive, perhaps, to think that that's possible, but I have to.
50 years later, the Detroit neighborhoods where the riots raged have still not recovered, though many parts of the city are turning around. Ike McKinnon rose through the ranks to become chief of police in 1994 and served as deputy mayor of Detroit until last year. Where the Algiers Motel once stood, there is now an open field. No plaque marks what happened here.
Some say riots, some say rebellion.
There will be a marker near the spot where the riot broke out and a newly rebuilt park.
The people have to connect to their history and understand where we've been.
For community activist Marlo Studemeyer, coming to terms with what took place here 50 years ago is the only way for the city to heal.
If we're really going to move forward, we have to deal with race, we have to deal with neighborhoods, we have to deal with youth, and we have to deal with economic inclusion and opportunity.
I think that Detroit is a bellwether city.
Historian Heather Thompson.
It's every city in some respects, and that's why 67 mattered. It's why it matters that we get it right, what happened, and it's why it matters that we look at Detroit carefully today.